My name is Brandon L., and I'm a rising senior at Leland High School. This is going to be my final milestone video, or my final modification video, which was supposed to be automated blinds with Alexa. Really quickly, how this was supposed to function was that there was a stepper motor, which you see is attached over here to the blinds, and a servo motor. The stepper was supposed to be able to control the blinds going up and down, and the servo motor controlled the tilt of the blinds so that you can see through them or not. Now the thing is that this was actually a really big modification. It was the first step towards actually using motors with my small photon, and I ran into a lot of difficulties, which is why I wasn't actually able to get this thing completed on time. Just a rundown of the issues that I ran into. The first was actually being able to power these motors with an external power source. Since the photon is so small, it's not actually able to power the motors on its own. That's why I had to introduce an external power source like a battery pack right here, and had to look up how to circuit all that. That took me about a day to do, so that was one big roadblock in the way. The second big roadblock was actually programming the stepper motor here. As you see, the stepper motor uses 4 ports on my photon, which is actually a lot considering it only has around 7 or 8. Now the reason that I had a roadblock during programming was because the library I was using wanted me to introduce my ports in a very unique way. Instead of doing it the usual 1, 2, 3, 4 in order down the board, I had to do it 1, 3, 2, 4, which meant that my code was wrong and that my motor was only working at like 5 to 10 RPM. At that point, I had to spend a day trying to debug my code, and since it was such a small problem, I wasn't actually able to find it in time. Now, the third issue that I really ran into, which was probably the most important one, was finding a spool for me to be able to wind up these blinds. Now, really importantly, I had to use a really small, brittle, flimsy wooden spool, which I glued onto the stepper motor. It wasn't necessarily the best option, but it was the only one that I really had at the time. Looking back at it, I probably would have used something something like metal, or something that could mount onto the stepper motor that would be able to wind up the blinds much more effectively. So at the end of the day, I would put this on, and string would get caught in between the spool and the motor, which meant that the motor wouldn't run anymore. So with all those roadblocks in the way, I wasn't actually able to get my project done, but it was a good attempt. Over here at my time at BlueStamp, I would say I learned a lot, basically focused around circuiting and programming with Arduinos and other, small circuit boards. With everything that I've actually accomplished here, I'm really glad to say that I've learned a lot about Amazon Alexa, and I'd be happy to program my own at home. Thank you so much.